right, so let's get to some of these big games this weekend, Ryan. And I think that for me, there's several really interesting games this weekend for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the most interesting for me, there's really two, but the one I kind of zeroed in on as just the most intriguing game for me this weekend is Miami and Texas A&M. And you and I had a bit of a different prediction on this one. I believe you picked Miami, correct?
I picked Texas A&M.
You picked Texas A&M as well because we were
Yep.
split. Our staff was split a little bit. Sean Davis picked Miami. Andrew picked Miami. Yeah, you picked A&M 28-22. I went A&M 27-24. And in my prediction, I said part of my prediction was Jimbo was eventually going to be forced to bench Haynes King and put in Max Johnson, and he would rally him and win the game. It came out, reports are, now again, I don't know if this has been verified by A&M, but there's multiple reports coming out that Max Johnson is in fact going to start this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Miami can beat them if Max Johnson starts. I don't know why he didn't start him in the first place, to be completely honest with you. It's still a mystery to me. I never understood that. And the other thing, to make it worse, is Miami is going to be without their leading receiver this weekend. And that little slot guy, Restrepo's really good player the first couple of weeks. So I still need to see Miami kind of go do it to a good team.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the worst thing to happen to Miami was A&M losing last weekend.
Yeah.
Because now they're going to be even more ready for this game. I still don't trust Jimbo. This is a game Miami can win, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be tough. I mean, A&M just lost to App State. That doesn't mean that they're going to lose to every team that they play the rest of the way. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Right? I think A&M was overrated, but I think, and they were flat out, they were not a top 10 team. Apparently, neither was Notre Dame. They were not a top 10 team coming into the year. Their talent isn't what people make it out to be, but they're definitely better than what they showed last week. And I think the move to Max Johnson is going to be exactly what they need to get it. And Jimbo keeps trying to run a pro-style offense with mobile quarterbacks, and he doesn't know how to make it work. When his offense works is when he's got a guy that's going to sit back in the pocket and throw the ball. And that's what Max Johnson can do.
Yeah. I mean, for me, Brian, it just comes down pretty simple that I'm also not a Jimbo guy. I think anybody that listens to this show knows that I'm not the biggest Jimbo Fisher fan. But unquestionably, Texas A&M is the more talented team. Now, that's not always the team that wins, right? But Texas A&M is a more talented team than Miami. My biggest thing is that I think that Miami 2 years from now is going to be in a really good spot, right? Like, I like Mario Cristobal. I like where he can potentially take this team. I just don't think they're that team right now, right? Like, I don't think that they're quite ready. I don't think they're strong in the trenches, mostly, like defensive line and offensive line wise. I think Texas A&M has better athletes too, just in general. And coming off the loss, I think that Texas A&M is going to come out and they're going to play a good football game, I think. So this is a game that, I mean, I picked 28-22. I was really wrestling with Miami or Texas A&M in this one because, again, I'm not a big believer in Jimbo, even though he does have a lot of talent. But I eventually picked the talent just because I think Miami's still a little bit away from being that team. And Texas A&M does this every year, man. They have a decent win, and then they have a bad loss. They have a decent win, bad loss, and it's just kind of the rotating door at Texas A&M. So opted for the talent in this one.
Yeah, and I think it's a smart one, and I think too, Texas A&M has speed on defense or on offense, excuse me, and they don't know how to use it. Now Haynes King has a lot of speed too, but as a passer, he didn't know how to use that speed. He couldn't get the ball where it needed to get to against a team with a pulse. A team that, by the way, gave up 63 points the week before to North Carolina, by the way. You know, and they went out and got 14. So I think that there is talent there. And the other thing, too, is Miami's still growing. Miami's still learning. They were able to kind of come out the first couple weeks and beat up on a couple not very good teams, if we're being honest. You know, and they beat up on Bethune-Cookman, who's awful, and they beat up on Southern Miss last week. I didn't think Miami looked super great last week, to be completely honest with you, in beating Southern Miss. You know, this is a team that lost to Liberty in the opener. You know, and Liberty's okay, but they're not great. But Miami is played sound football so far in their two games, for the most part, in my opinion. And that's going to be what you're going to see from Mario Cristobal. They're going to be physical, and they're going to play sound football. I think that Miami has the better quarterback in the game, but that gap has narrowed with Max Johnson playing over. I'm a big fan of Max Johnson. Now, he is not an NFL guy. He is not a future first-round pick. He's just a good, productive college quarterback. And the reason he keeps getting benched is for the same reason Hendon Hooker kept getting benched at Virginia Tech, because coaches fall in love with the traits and the tools. and he doesn't have those tools, right? He just doesn't have the big arm. He doesn't have he's not like an elite athlete that can go out there and run for 100 yards every game. Like Haynes King would be like a great, like an old school, like Nebraska quarterback or something like that, or like, what Clemson was doing back with Woody Dancer back in the day, when he was the first ever 2,000, 1,000 quarterback, 2,000 passing yards, 1,000 rushing yards. That's the kind of offense that Haynes King needs to be running in. And I don't understand why he keeps recruiting quarterbacks like that. He did the same thing with Connor Wegman last year, who's a really good run-throw quarterback. I love Connor Wegman, but my whole thing was, but you're going to a school with a coach that has no clue how to use that kind of guy. None. And so that's a bit problematic to me. But Max Johnson, to me, can run the kind of offense that Jimbo Fisher wants him to run, and can get the ball. Yes, and can get the ball out accurately to his court, to his players, and get you there. I mean, we've seen him put up big numbers before. I mean, I don't understand why he doesn't get. I mean, look, his dad's. We all know who his dad is, right? His dad's Brad Johnson, former NFL quarterback. Yep. Maybe they don't like lefties. I don't know. Maybe that's it.
I hate lefties. I hate.
I don't know what it is, but here's what I know about this kid. When he plays, he puts up numbers.
Does.
I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, like when they played UCLA last year, they didn't lose because of him. You know what I mean? Like he threw 330 against UCLA, 372 against Central Michigan, 5 touchdowns, 280 against Mississippi State in a win, 325 against Auburn. He threw 261 at Kentucky. Now they got blown out, but that's a pretty good day's work for them. 319 against Louisiana Monroe, and then 306, 3 touchdowns in a win over Texas A&M last year. And so it's like, why did you bring him in if you're just going to start Haynes King? Right. But Jimbo just has this thing where he wants a dual threat quarterback, but he has no clue how to use it. It's like if you were to bring me a brand new car and it's just this gorgeous, super expensive car, but it's a stick shift. Hey, guess what? I don't know how to drive a stick shift. I've never driven a stick shift before. So I may love the car. It's a cool car and it looks good in my driveway, but I don't know how to use it. Right. So until Jimbo learns how to use that kind of quarterback, he needs to stop recruiting them and recruit more kids like this, because Max Johnson, I think, can run this offense, in my opinion.
Maybe it's the Haynes King throwing motion. That you
my God, that is the weirdest thing. I don't know what that is. Like, it's the weirdest looking thing.
It's like throwing darts, man. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. Yeah.
Yes. Weirdest thing I've ever seen. So I'm going A&M in this game. Will I be shocked if Miami wins? No, Ryan. I don't think. I mean, predicted close games, but I think A&M wins this one, and I think Miami's going to learn some stuff from it. And I feel good, win or lose, about this game. They're going to have Middle Tennessee and North Carolina coming up at home the next 2 weeks. I see Miami being 4-1. Then they're at Virginia Tech. That game looks winnable. Home against Duke, at Virginia. They got a chance to go on a roll here. The only thing that could stall that is if they get waxed.
Yes.
That's what they have to avoid, is getting waxed where you're confidence goes down. As long as Miami battles for 60 minutes, I think they come out of this game with some confidence and they go on a roll. And I'll say I'll be the winner going into this game, whether Miami wins or lose. I feel much better about picking them to win their division than I did even when I made the prediction.